Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. My name is Lindsay, and this is Life with Lindsay. Today, we have WIP Chat. If you do not know what a WIP Chat is, that is when I work on my current WIP, WIP, which is work in progress, and you can pull out whatever it is that you are working on and work alongside with me. You can do a household project, a craft project. You can do it while you're driving, while you're at work, while you're avoiding work, whatever it is that you want to be doing. There is no right way or wrong way to WIP Chat. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Lindsay. I do mainly diamond painting content and some other crafting related content, and I would love for you to subscribe, subscribe, hit the bell, hop aboard the Hot Mess Express. Let's be friends. Sorry, I just almost knocked everything off my little cart on the side, which you guys can't see, and I'm pointing off frame, so you couldn't see that either. So, you know, there's that. I've got that guy for me. Anyway, if you've been here before, hi, welcome. Thanks for coming back. So, let's grab a couple of colors. How are you guys all doing? I probably should have pulled some colors before you guys were here, but I didn't. So, you know, let's see. If you guys don't know what I'm working on, I should probably share that with you, huh? Oh my God. I just spilled, listen, if you saw my WIP Chat last week, where I was literally just spilling things left and right all over the canvas, this seems to be a continuation of that. If you'd like to see that one, I'll link it up in the eye for you. As I just spilled trash drills all over the side over here. You guys can kind of see my fingers off to the side. Listen, I'm a mess. I'm always a mess. Let's move on from Anyway, so the legend is on the bottom left and the top right. I still didn't tell you guys what I'm working on. Oh my God. Can we rewind and pretend that like this isn't as much of a mess as it really is? I'm working on Moon Lily from Kurtis Rykovich. I am doing this for the Damsel Along hosted by Ashley. All the information will be listed down in the description box. I am desperately trying to find the colors that I need, and I am having a lot of trouble. So in a moment here, I might actually pause and pull some colors out. I know it gives a lot of people like stress and anxiety to see when somebody has like a million colors on their desk. Are you guys like that or no? Let me know. So I'm trying to find a couple of these colors. I mean, I know I'm not going to get them all done, but you know. All right, listen. What are you? There's 4. I need 3 and 6. Where are you at? It would be nice if 3 and 6 were actually 3 and 6, but they're not. Tis a pet peeve of mine. Where the hell are they? All right, well, 3 is an AB. All right. Number 6, number 35. All right, let's try this again, you guys. I hope that you're all well. Oh my God, Lindsay. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh, man. All right, I don't want to do an AB first, though. There's a lot of AB on this. Where is the plus sign? If you guys are just tuning in and you're like, this is boring, I promise you, I will do more than just go, where's that symbol I can't find? Look at that. I found that. I found it, you guys. We're going to start with the plus sign. This is a gorgeous color. Oh, it's 38.43. I thought it was going to be like 9.95, but it's not. It's beautiful. Blue is my favorite color. Okay. How are you guys all doing? Now that I've spilled drills everywhere and made a mess and have no idea what I'm doing with my life. What a surprise. Where did I put... Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Did you guys see that? Nope. It was out of frame. So, fun story, in case anyone's curious. So this is my pop socket on the back of my phone case. This is where I keep all of my daughter's hair ties for, like, the various things. When we go ice skating, I have to pull her hair back. Basketball, things like that. So I put one of my hair ties, it's not mine because it's black, so it's probably Brian's. And I put that on the back of my phone case, reminding myself, don't forget to put your hair up. And then I forgot to put my hair up. All right, let's get into this. I am really sorry. So we're like 4 minutes in and I've talked about absolutely nothing. What did I say I was working on? The plus sign. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful day, week, night, whatever. Start. There we go. It has been a little rough over here in our land. We've dealt with some sickness this week and just endless attitude. Does anybody ever notice that when your kid is off from school, that's when sickness like rips through your house? Because that's what happened here. And I was like, cool. My kid, I'll tell you guys all about our week, but Wednesday was her last day of school this week, and then she doesn't go back till Wednesday of next week. So yeah, that's been fun. Why does this look... Oh, it is sticky. I don't know why it looks like it's not sticky, but it is. Anyway, so last Sunday, I know I talked a little bit about what I did. But we had basketball. We went over and got some lunch at Bonefish Grill, which I enjoyed. I mean, I didn't enjoy the nasty lady in the booth behind us who seemingly had a problem with our family and their entire existence. But that's okay. They're just strangers. Their opinions mean nothing to me. And then we went to Trader Joe's. But I think when I spoke with you guys, we didn't really talk about much after that because I was trying to like rush through. But on Sunday, it was the Super Bowl. We are Eagles fans in this house. But my husband and I decided to get some wings at a restaurant down the street, pick some of those up, and we, I forget what we had to go with it, because maybe we made something at home. Oh, Brian and Briar made homemade pizza. That's right. We picked up some pizza crusts and stuff when we went to Trader Joe's, and they made their own pizza. Do you guys ever struggle? Like these ones here, they don't really have like any grid lines. And so sometimes it's hard to tell like where the square begins and ends. But anyway, so we did homemade pizza and wings, and we watched the Super Bowl. We watched a little bit of the Puppy Bowl with Briar, and she was like, "This is amazing." And we let her know that all of the dogs were up for adoption, which then turned into a lot of questions. And then I'm going to adopt one of the dogs one day. She has a really, she really thinks that she's going to just get herself a dog when she's an adult because she can't have one when she's a kid because mommy's allergic. But it's like the level to which this child is so adamant about like, I'm going to get a dog one day and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't think, although she was talking to my dad the one day on the phone, and she was like, Zeta, when I grow up, I'm going to live with you and you can get me a dog. And I was like, oh, well, where's mommy and daddy going to live? And she goes, California. Oh, okay. So you're going to get a dog, moving with my parents, and mom and dad are going to go live on the other side of the country. Okay. If that's what you want, child, say no more. I mean, do say more because, you know, I'm not really moving across the country, but it was funny when she said that. Anyway, so we watched a little bit of the Puppy Bowl. Let me grab some water. Which she loved. And then she seemed like totally disgusted by the fact that we turned on the football game. She's like, what is this? And we're like, this is the actual Super Bowl. And she's like, I don't want to watch it. Girl, it's not for you. It's not for you. But Briar has from the last Super Bowl the Eagles were in, the previous one, which was 2018, we have a name placard, which is like the back of a jersey, with her name on it, and it is an Eagles jersey, obviously, and it has has confetti from the actual field and some like blades of grass. We had a friend who worked for the Eagles at that time. We're no longer friends with this person, but it was such a cool gift. And like Briar was a newborn, and it hangs above her door in her room, and like she has no comprehension of like how cool that is or like what it is even, but it's very, very cool. And I love that we have that in her room. But she's funny because like she wanted to hang, but we were like, it's time for bed. And then my husband and I kind of hung out in the room, and he watched the game, and then I was keeping track of the score on my phone and things like that. And then I came down and watched the halftime show, which I feel like it was a very polarizing halftime show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I find Rihanna to be super talented, and to be pregnant and performing on a like platform in the sky. Are you kidding me? I don't want to even be on 2 feet on the ground when I was pregnant. Like, no ma'am. But she was the first billionaire performer, which I think is super cool. But I'm sure people will leave me their thoughts down below, even if I don't ask for it. Well, leave me your thoughts, I guess. Where did I put my straightener? I feel like I want to pull out a second color, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, that's how we took care. That's what we did for the Super Bowl. Did you guys do anything fun and exciting? Are you guys football people? Yeah. I'm really glad that it was, my home team. Obviously I'm bummed that they didn't win, but, it is what it is. And it's funny, if you guys know Berlien, if you don't know Berlien, you should go follow her. I'll leave her information down below. Berlien is so funny. She lives overseas, and she is just such a sports person. And so I messaged her, and I was like, hey, girl, are you watching the Super Bowl? And she's like, yes. And I just think it's so funny to, like, there's so many Americans that don't give two craps about football, but like she just is such a sports person, and I just think it's really cool that she has access to American sports over in Belgium. But anyway, that was my Sunday. Monday was Briar's little Valentine's Day party at school, so we dressed her in her finest pinks and reds, and she actually wore a really cute outfit, which, I mean, listen, my kid wears a cute outfit every day. But she had a little Mickey and Minnie, like, peplum. They're, like, leaning over and giving each other a kiss. It's very, very cute. And I was very excited that it still fit her. So we had these sign-ups for school where you could, if you want to, it's like a volunteer thing, to provide something for the school for the holiday parties. They did it for the Christmas party, which I was like, well, let's call it a winter, even though it was totally a Christmas party. And we had just gone, we're not completely dye-free. We are free of red 40. I'm trying to cut out every single artificial dye, or numbered dyes. So yellow 5, yellow 6, blue, red 40. And I had discussed this with her teacher, and she had said to me she's all on board. She wants to do whatever she can to make it happen. So I kind of assumed for the school party that she would have sent out a note to the parents that, like, please make sure that you're not providing any snacks that have red 40 in it, or artificial coloring, or however she wanted to word it. That was not the case. So not only did my daughter get no edible candy for her, all of the candy had to be taken, which she's pretty understanding because the majority of it was lollipops, and we don't do lollipops here. That's a personal preference. I'm not going to tell anyone else how to do their thing, but my child is so distracted all the time and has, like, literally has no attention span that, like, hard candies and things like that, she doesn't pay attention enough, and there's the risk of choking. So she doesn't get lollipops anyway. So for me to take away all the lollipops, it wasn't that big of a deal for her. But then, as I'm loading her in the car to come home, she tells me, we signed up for a sweet treat. And we did that on purpose because we figured if we provided the candy or the cookie or whatever it was, and we provided a dye-free option, that we didn't have to worry about it. Unfortunately, somebody else's mom decided to bring in, they were robots that had a juice box, an apple sauce head with eyeballs on it, Smarties for arms and legs, other candies were taped onto it, and there was something else. And so Briar told me, Mommy, we didn't get to have the snack. And I was like, what do you mean? So of course I went back to her teacher and I was like, hey, I was just informed that you guys didn't provide the snack that we brought in. And the teacher said, oh, I'm really sorry. Another parent brought something in, and before we could stop the kids, they were all already eating the candy. And I'm like, Cool. And then she says to me, well, it's okay because she only had chocolate and chocolate's not red, so she's fine. And I was like, so first of all, there's red 40 and other artificial colors in a ton of other candies. If you guys are people who live outside of the United States, there's like rules and laws mandated in like European countries, I believe Canada, where like, no, actually Canada, I don't know, but in European countries and other countries across the world where like it is not legal. They are not allowed to put these artificial colors into their food. And here in the States, so many parents or people in general are just completely unaware of the dangers of artificial coloring. And listen, I'm not here to tell you guys like you all need to like cut dye out of your food and stuff like that. But for us, red 40 is also, besides being a known carcinogen, it is also known for being like a behavioral catalyst. So oftentimes it manifests itself as hyperactivity and anger and some other behavioral issues. So for us, this was something that we've been trying everything to curb a lot of the rough behavior, and this was my next step. And, you know, so I was excited when her teacher said she was on board, but that conversation with her made me realize like how little she knows about this. And I don't expect, like, let me preface this by saying, I do not expect that a preschool educator is going to be fully aware of all of this. But it is frustrating that as a parent, when you tell me that you're on board and you want to work with us on this, that you don't send a note out to the other families. Because what they do at school besides the parties is you have a snack parent for the week. It's assigned. There's 3 different classes or pods in her preschool, and each preschool pod gets a snack leader for the week. And that person is responsible for bringing in snacks for all of the kids for the days that they're there. So basically 30 servings of snacks. So we were told in the beginning of the school year that we didn't have anyone who had any allergies or food restrictions, so we could bring in whatever we want. Like, they also have their own rules. It has to be prepackaged. Like, you can't go and bake your own goods, and things like that. So it was a little bit frustrating when none of that was addressed. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just because it was the party and, you know, but then she was like, well, the item wasn't red, so she could eat it. And I was like, that's not really how it works. And thankfully, later, I guess it had to be Friday, no, I guess it had to be Wednesday. Her teacher actually came outside and talked to me, and we had a conversation about it, and she's going to make sure that for the snacks for March that all of the parents are aware and things like that. And, you know, I don't mind providing my daughter with her own version of the snacks. It's not a super huge deal to me. I just don't want her to feel excluded. I don't want her to be the only kid out of 30 kids that isn't allowed to have the snack because they're only providing snacks that she can't have. And so I've been doing my research, and I've been finding companies that have alternatives like Yum Earth or Yummy Earth or Yum Earthly, something along those lines, has basically like their version of gummy bears and Skittles and Starbursts and a couple other candies, lollipops, gummies. So like there are options out there, and it's really wonderful. And I actually put a post in my local moms group to see if anybody's kid maybe wanted to trade some of the snacks and goodies that they got from Valentine's Day. And somebody actually gave us like an entire bag full of chocolate that was all safe to eat. And, you know, it was really a cool feeling having like the whole like community rally and be like, yeah, let's swap it out for you. And like I said, we're still in the early stages, and I'm really just trying to figure things out. But, you know, it's hard when you're a kid, when you're the only one being told, no, you can't have this in a room full of 30 kids. So, you know, it's a learning curve for all of us, but I'm happy to say that, like, the teachers are now on board. They did end up eating our cookies as their snack the next school day. And the teacher even said to me, she goes, but your cookies have red. And I'm like, yeah, I bought cookies that had natural flavoring and natural coloring. They were like a raspberry jam-filled cookie, which, you know, might not be the most appealing to a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds, but it was an option that was going to work for every kid in the class. And, yeah. So, it was just, you know, a little bit rough. It's hard when you have to change your child's routine, and it's hard when that affects other people. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to get the best version of our kid in the classroom and at home and in the environment. Like, we want her to be able to participate in as much as possible, but like, we do see a difference in her behavior with her having dye and not having dye. So, you know, take that for what it is. So I'm still drinking out of my Stanley. I did buy a dupe. We'll see how well that works. My husband's like, oh, cool, you bought another cup. Anybody else like this? They just buy tumblers and like big cups and then they have nowhere to put them, so they're just kind of all over the place. Or is that just me? So yeah, that was our Monday, and then we went out and got lunch. Oh my god, I've got like weird burps now. Sorry. And so we went to lunch, and Briar was you know, throwing a tantrum for, I don't even remember what the reasoning was. It was probably nothing important. And I had put her at a seat in the corner because that is the safest place for her to be in a restaurant. Anything that keeps her away from like waitstaff or other tables, like that's my prime goal. It doesn't always work out, but that was the goal. And so she kept getting out and coming behind my seat. And finally, this lady next to us, she goes, oh, I'm a grandmother. And Briar's like, I don't want to talk to her, which this is a stranger. She didn't need to talk to her even if she did know her. And I just kind of looked over at the lady because she was about to put her hand on my daughter and like tell her like, you need to behave better and listen to your mommy and blah, 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 which of course is all true, but she's not going to listen to a stranger especially when she's like, you can't de-escalate an escalated child, you know? You have to let them work through it and give them the time. Anyway, so I just looked over at her and I said, oh, thanks so much. I'm her mother, though, and I know what's best for her. And, like, I could just, like, hear the gasp. And I was like, well, you know, just because you've had your own children and your own grandchildren doesn't mean you know how to deal with mine. And just like I have my own kid, it doesn't mean I know how to deal with somebody else's kid. I love my daughter, and I've said this before. She's a particularly difficult child. So, you know, the tactics that work on your quote-unquote typical kids don't necessarily work on her anyway. But I was proud of her for, you know, she set her own boundary there and then proceeded to hold it. Of course, God forbid, mommy sets a boundary. She does this thing, and I hate it, and I've told her this, like, literally for years, where she basically, like, puts her fingers, like, here on my lips, and she'll put her fingers over my lips like this. And like in a duck position, but then she like squeezes and stabs me with her fingernails. And I've told her many, many, many times that I don't like when she does that. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And we had a huge fight about that this week because she did it even after I told her, I don't like that. Stop doing that. Don't touch mommy. And, you know, I want her to understand that, like, when she tells somebody no, no means no. But it also means no when mommy says no. Like, you know. God, I've been rambling for over 20 minutes already. Is that possible? We're only like 2 days into the week. But next day was skating. It was our last session, or last class of this session. Interestingly enough, the next session, they have added in an adult learn to skate, which... So, my daughter is in a TOTS class, which is like 7 and under or 8 and under. And then regular learn to skate, which they have like twice a week, is all ages. So, this is going to be an adult learn to skate class. But I'm curious who their target demographic is because it's from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. So, it's obviously not working parents because somebody going to work out till 9:30 and then shower and get to work at 10:30, 11 o'clock. I mean, I guess unless they work second shift. And then it's certainly not going to be for stay-at-home parents because what are they going to do with their kids? So I'm really curious when our next session starts to see, like, the adults that are there for the Learn to Skate. Although they're still running a, like, hey, this is your last warning. Here's a X amount discount to sign up. So my guess is they probably don't have a lot of people registered for it, but I digress. So we had our Tuesday tots, which was a lot of fun, except for my child was being horrible in terms of behavior. She spent a large amount of the session in the penalty box or just sitting in the corner of the ice crying. She had a fall, which isn't uncommon, but it like really shook her. And then from then on, like she was shut down. Even though she wasn't hurt, I don't know. And so her coach asked us to remove ourselves, not leave, but remove ourselves from the situation. While our daughter just had a massive, massive tantrum for like 45 minutes on the ice. So that was super fun. And then she's like, you guys need to say no to her and set boundaries. And I was like, this is what I don't understand about life. This is not directed at her coach or anyone else, but this is just like a pretty in general thing. People have said this to us many times. What they don't understand is the amount of boundaries that we set and the amount of times that we say no and follow through with that. So Tuesday, originally, what we usually do is after ice skating, we go get lunch and we let her know because of the way you behaved, because you got in trouble, because you refused to listen to your coach, all of these things, we are not going out to lunch. And I'm like, I don't know what else you guys think that, like, I literally did not take her out to lunch. Like, we just went home and ate what we had at home. But maybe because it happens so often, people think we just let her get away with everything. And I'm like my mom even said that to Brian the one day. She's like, you guys need to tell her no more often. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I tell her no all the time. It doesn't make a difference if you're telling them no and they don't listen, though. There's the difference. And I know that eventually, like, kids are supposed to understand the natural consequences and things like that, but not every kid does. Mine certainly doesn't, and it's very frustrating, and it's very, like, demeaning to my parenting when people try to tell me that I'm not doing it right or I'm not doing enough, because that's not the case. Oh, man, I'm almost out of water, and my Stanley does not fit into the sink. Damn it. I do not feel like going down 2 flights of stairs to get more water, though. So we gave her an opportunity to, like, reset. And after lunch, like, if she could shift her attitude and, like, change how she was behaving. I don't know why I just picked up so many drills. Let's try over here. Sorry if I'm all up in the camera. Perfect. So Tuesday was Valentine's Day, but we ended up, my husband and my daughter gave me my Valentine's Day gift, which I was like, oh, I'm going to post this on Instagram and share with you guys. And then I totally didn't get great pictures. And I was like, oh, I'll take pictures later. And that later never happened. I have the monitor. My husband just walked in, everybody. Say hi, husband. Hi, husband. And, so they got me a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Loungefly backpack. Now, let me tell you, when this thing originally came out, I sent it to my husband and I was like, I love this, but I can't justify spending that much money on a bag for myself, especially because it's a Loungefly. If you don't know what a Loungefly is, they're owned by Funko Pop. They're usually Disney branded. I mean, there's some other ones that are not Disney. Like, they just came out with the whole McDonald's line and they have, like, Lisa Frank. But they're typically Disney, or Disney Universe branded. And they are character backpacks. And he got it for me. And I was totally surprised because, you know, I wasn't expecting it. And it's so freaking awesome. And it has functioning headlights. It's the actual, like, party van from the Ninja Turtles. If I have a decent picture, I'll put it up here. But I don't think I have one. So maybe I'll put, like, a stock photo. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But he gave me that. Well, they gave me that. And let me tell you, my daughter is terrible at not ruining things. It's super age appropriate. So I'm well aware that, like, every 5-year-old out there, like, can't keep things. And we don't like to say keep secrets because a lot of times secrets are actually negative things. So this was a happy surprise. And she kept it to herself. She didn't tell mommy once what it was. And she was so proud of herself for keeping it quiet. And, of course, we were proud of her for keeping it quiet because, you know, God forbid this child ever keeps anything quiet. But I was super proud of her. And then for dinner, we went to Outback. And I like Outback. Outback is, you know, fancy enough that we expected there to be a decent amount of wait. but it's not like a fancy meal. Although it was funny, there was an elderly couple and she was wearing like a very nice dress and he was in a full suit. And I was like, this is so sweet. So we walk in and they have these heart balloons all over the place and there's fake rose petals all over the floor. Turns out one of the waiters really loves love and he like went all out and decorated the whole place and wanted to make it really special for the guests. So she picked up a heart balloon off the floor, which I was like, I'm sure they don't care because at the end of the night, they're going to throw all these away anyway. And there were probably 100 balloons like all over the place. So we got the balloon and then they came over and they brought me a carnation, which then turned into, well, Briar's taking the carnation. Everything that was meant for me was given to her. They came over with a bag of chocolates. It was just some Hershey Kisses. She took that as well. They came over with some cheesecake samples. We got 2 of them, one for me and one for her. She ate both of them. She was like doted on and was like, oh, this is really special. And I was like, well, it was supposed to be special for mommy, but I guess we'll make it special for you. You guys, she had the best time. She loves being the center of attention, like in those kinds of situations. She just had a blast. And it just made us giggle because we were like, well, I guess this is what life with a child is like. You know, you can't really control it anymore. You're like, all right, well, this is what it is. So we did that. And then we stopped at the bakery to get some cookies. And I was like, oh, what do you guys have that doesn't have artificial coloring in it? And she's like, vanilla cupcakes or coconut cupcakes. And I was like, oh, cool. So we got that. And then my daughter forgot about her cupcake. There is one that's concave. Then she was mad that like 4 days later, the cupcake that she had gotten wasn't available. And I was like, girl, that thing got hard and gross. Like, anyway, next day was Wednesday. This was her last day of school for the week. As I mentioned, she had a whole week off or has a whole week off. We don't go back to school until this Wednesday. Come on. Just totally missed all of these. By the way, my child was like falling asleep at dinner, and so we put her to bed hella early. And it's now way after her bedtime, and she is like re-energized, running around, screeching. I don't know what her deal is at the moment. She's barking, I think. What, babe? Yeah. She was crouching earlier, which is what she does when she pretends to be a cat. I'm like, you look like a frog. And she's like, I'm a cat. Meow, meow. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly you don't know what frogs and cats look like. Which is ironic. Not ironic. Odd, because The Princess and the Frog is her favorite movie. Although I feel like maybe she's moved on from that. Let me take another sip. Oh, man, you guys are really at the end. So while she was at school, my husband and I did a post office run, and then we went to Staples. Thankfully, the girl who works there that actually knows how to get my husband's boxes printed was working. She got them printed right away. There was a new or newer person working at the counter who I guess is very interested in learning how to do this. The last time somebody was interested in learning how to do it, they like blew through half a box of his paper. So we get a little nervous when that happens, but no, everything was good this time. And then I was like, you know what? Can we go get Starbucks? Listen, I am a Dunkin' person. I like Starbucks. I like Starbucks a lot. I can't make Starbucks like my everyday thing. It's crazy expensive for what it is. And also, they always seem to be out of like whatever it is I want. So I've been really digging the pistachio lattes, hot or iced, doesn't matter to me. I like them both. I do mine with the blonde roast instead of the regular espresso. But I am not loving the February flavors from Dunkin'. So I haven't been drinking Dunkin' as much, or I'm just getting like a basic coffee because I'm not into, I don't know. I'm like ready for March, which I think they do like Irish cream for March. I could be wrong. Excuse me. Oh my God, you guys. Getting such a glare from the angle of the ring light over here. But anyway, so we went and got Starbucks. Like, meanwhile, my kid's still in school, so like my husband and I are getting a couple of the, you know, boring errands done. The things that like don't take that long, but they take forever when she's with us because she doesn't have any patience. She has zero chill. And depending on like if it's me and Brian, like if it's just Brian, he has to take her in and out of the car. So we were happy to get it done and done quickly. And then my father-in-law was scheduled to go for a trip. He has not flown in many, many years. We don't think that he's flown since 9/11. So obviously things were a lot different in the 90s, 2000s than they are now in terms of flying. And so we were on the phone with my father-in-law. We were making sure we had all the final details because my husband was going to be driving him in the morning to the airport. And I said something about don't forget your ID. And he's like, you mean like my driver's license? And I was like, yes, you need that to get on the plane. And I think somewhat jokingly, but also like somewhat in the back of his mind, my husband said, Dad, your ID's not expired, is it? And he's like, well, actually it is. And he looked at it and expired last year. Brian's like, okay, well, Dad, you can't get onto an airplane with an expired ID, which blew his mind. So my husband had to do a very last minute trip to the DMV at the state capitol. So that one is insanely fast. If you live in Pennsylvania and you need your ID printed like on site and you need it quickly or you need other driver's license services, the one in Harrisburg is the one to go to. When my husband and I were going to Florida, we both had to get our IDs taken care of. Mine was expiring. It hadn't expired yet. My husband's had expired previously. He had gotten a camera card, misplaced the camera card. We both were able to be in and out of there with IDs in our hands in under an hour. Well, same thing happened with my father-in-law. He was able to get in and out of there very, very quickly. And, you know, this was not at all how my husband was expecting his day to go because he's like, well, I'm driving Dad to the airport in the morning. And I said, well, thank God you guys figured that out now and not when he got to the airport. And turns out that was only the tip of the iceberg of the shit that was getting Dad ready to travel because my father-in-law's legal name and name that he goes by are not the same name. And the ticket was booked under the name that he goes by and not the name on his ID. And it was one of those like, oh, okay, well, we'll just change the name on the tickets. And they ordered through a third-party company, like a Priceline or one of them. And their rules and policies stated that it was under 24 hours. So the only thing you could do was cancel the tickets and try to rebook them. But there's no guarantee that that flight would be available again. And then everything else that they looked at was like 3 times the price and all these things. And it just turned into this huge dilemma because if it was just booked through the airline, they would have been able to change it for him. So we had to like totally cancel the whole trip. He was bummed. My husband and my brother-in-law were bummed because that was a lot of effort that it went into that day alone, just with the IDs and changing the tickets and all of that. So it was a very long Wednesday. And when Brian came home, it was a beautiful day out and my daughter's been begging to go to the park for like weeks. And we've had these like weird, like super spring days, even though it's February on the East Coast. And we went down to the park and she rode her bike. She rode her bike for quite a while too. I got like 80-something% of my steps in that day, just walking behind her while riding her bike. And I think this might be the summer that we end up taking the training wheels off. She just needs to pedal a little faster. She doesn't understand, like, you can't go at, like, snail speed or it won't keep the bicycle upright. But, you know, what do I know? Oh, man, I'm really mad that I finished my water there. But it was a great day. She really loved it. And it ended up being a lovely evening for what was a chaotic day. And, you know, the next day, originally my husband was going to take his dad to the airport, and I was like, well, I'll do something special with Briar. But we did absolutely nothing. Our HVAC system crapped out on us. Excuse me. And we were given the options of 8 to noon or noon to 5 p.m. So originally, the 8 to noon wouldn't work because I was going to be taking my husband to his dad's house. And then he was going to go from there to the airport, and I was going to take the child home. But he had a morning flight, so that would have been during the morning. So we changed it to the afternoon and said, okay, we'll do the 12 to 5. And then, of course, with the whole situation of them having to cancel the tickets, like, we were home anyway. So it was a bit frustrating because our thermostat completely shut down. Like, we have a Nest thermostat, and there was no power to it, nothing. And I walked by, and usually I just, like, wave my hands in front of the Nest, and it lights up, and then I can adjust the temperature. And I had noticed it felt a little cool in the room, and I waved my hands in front of it, and I said, hey, babe, the thermostat is off. And he's like, okay. And then he looked at me, and I go, I swear to God, I didn't touch it. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, no, seriously, I didn't touch it. So he walks over like a minute later, and he goes, oh, it's like totally off. And I'm like, that's what I meant. And he's like, well, I thought you just meant no. So it was totally no power to it, which meant we couldn't control the heat or the air. Thankfully, as I had mentioned, it was a really beautiful day, so it wasn't super cold. The house didn't get cold. I think it dropped like to 68 or 69 in the house. We normally keep it around 72, which I know is like super warm for a lot of people, but we do have a small child. And it was one of those things that, like, the timing of this sucked. Like, my husband and I weren't prepared to have to completely pay for HVAC repairs, but this was obviously something that needed to be taken care of. So Thursday, because of the way our day was planned, we were like, we're doing absolutely nothing. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. And then they call us and they tell us, like, oh, we have a tech that's actually going to be in your area, and they'll be there in like 45 minutes. Does that work for you? We're like, yes. Because at this point now, we didn't want to wait for 12 to 5 because we were home. And they came and they did the repairs, and, you know, it was a lot of money, but we needed to take care of it. And I don't mean to say like, oh, it was a lot of money, because I want you guys to feel bad. Like, it was not as easy of a repair as I was hoping it would be, although they made it seem like it was super easy, but the price on our bill does not reflect that it was that easy, if you understand where I'm coming from. So we just hung around. We did absolutely nothing. And then we were in bed. It was like close to 2 o'clock in the morning, and we hear her grumbling, and we're like, uh-oh. Our kid sleeps through the night, and usually if she does wake up in the middle of the night, she just gets up, pees, washes her hands, climbs back in bed, does all that. But, like, she was, like, groaning, and we were like, uh-oh. And we walked in, and she got violently ill. And I was like, oh, fantastic. Because this is exactly what we want. We want to be dealing with a sick kid with a stomach bug, because those have been horrible this year. I know people who've, like, taken like 2 weeks to get over it. And I was like, oh God, please just be something she ate, not an actual stomach bug. So this poor kid, we changed all the sheets. She got sick again. Then I was like, do you want to come lay in mommy and daddy's room? Rookie mistake. Got on our bed. Literally, the second she sat down, threw up all over everything. I was like, so now I'm doing 2 loads of kids' laundry and adult laundry, but I have to make sure that the laundry is dry from the first load so that we could put the waterproof sheets back on the bed, all that. It was just a mess. And so we were like, all right, well, anything that we had scheduled for Friday is now canceled, because obviously my kid's sick. Unfortunately for us, cold medicine, unless you buy specifically the dye-free version, has Red 40 in it. And so I placed an order at Walmart, and it was supposed to be delivered that day, and it somehow, like 12:05 in the middle of the night, they're like, oh, sorry, your order is delayed. And I was like, no kidding. So we wouldn't have been giving her like Tylenol or Motrin, except for that she spiked like an almost 104-degree fever. And that's what made us think that this is a stomach bug and not, you know, something she ate. But this poor kid, I felt bad. Like, we threw her in the bath. Like, it was a rough night and day. And the way I know that she was sick is, like, she actually, like, napped, which she never does. And we brought in the spare mattress from our trundle bed in the guest bedroom. And I actually, like, laid on the bed with her for hours. And, you know, there's nothing worse than, like, watching your kid be sick. But she didn't want any of the, you know, we were going to do, like, a modified version of the brat diet because, well, we didn't have anything else to give her. And so we gave her a piece of toast. She didn't want it. We gave her some applesauce. She ate that. But in general, she really wasn't enjoying the bland stuff. And my husband went to the store because Gatorade is loaded with artificial coloring. So he found Pedialyte that only had yellow. It didn't have the red dye. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Don't do that, you guys. Do not get the Pedialyte orange. That thing is disgusting. Have you guys, anybody who's ever been pregnant and they have to drink the drink that you need to drink before you get tested for gestational diabetes, like the orange one, that's what it tasted like. It tasted like melted Jell-O, and it was so sweet and so gross, and she was not down with it. She was like, no. And I was like, okay, but girlfriend, you need to put some liquids in your system because, you know, you've gotten rid of a lot of liquids, and that's how we get better. And she was having none of that. Like, Brian got 2 bottles because it was like buy one, get one 50% off. Nope. We've literally had like this much of it drank. And I'm like, well, I guess I can see if anyone in our neighborhood wants it because, you know, it's 6 season. Maybe somebody wants some Pedialyte. Ugh, you guys, it was so gross. And I felt bad because I was like, let me take a sip and see if it's as bad as like her face is telling me. Yeah, it was that bad. And I'm somebody who likes a good drink. A good beverage, not a good drink. But yeah, so that was super, super rough. And like we had let her know Friday, we were supposed to have a private lesson. We were supposed to go to a princess event. Saturday, we had a birthday party on the books. So we had to cancel all of that. Unfortunately, because the princess event was the same day, we couldn't get our money back. And this happened to us once before. Like, we had an event scheduled at that same place for New Year's, and Briar got sick, and we couldn't get our money back. And I was like, well, that sucks. But, I mean, I understand, but it still sucks. And thankfully, we hadn't told her what the thing was we were going to do, because I know she would have been like, I'm okay, I don't feel sick anymore, I feel fine. And, like, not understand, like, that's not how it works. Like, you have to have fever-free with no medicine for 24 hours before you can go out into the public. So, unfortunately, she missed both the skating lesson and the event, and then we called or emailed the mom and let her know we weren't going to be there for the birthday party, which was a bummer, because I know Briar really wanted to go, but, you know, what can you do? You know, you're not going to send a sick kid. So, the next day was Friday. She still had a fever. It spiked back up again, so we knew for sure, like, birthday party was out, but she had finally gotten to the point where she had kept everything down for 24 hours, so we knew we were moving in the right direction, but we still had the fever to combat, and, you know, that's hard, because kids don't understand that, and then, of course, it was like, but I feel okay, as she's, like, super lethargic, and, she did a pretty good job handling everything, and she kept saying, like, I'm so sorry I threw up, Mommy, I'm so sorry. And I said, kiddo, we're not mad that you threw up. Mommy's a little bit frustrated that you threw up all over my bed instead of saying I have to throw up, because I just saw the look on her face, and I was like, oh, shit, because the bucket was in the other room. Sorry if that's TMI for some people, but it was just not where we expected our weekend to be going. But on Friday, we decided to make the most of it. We have decided that this year, as a family, we will be watching Masked Singer. My husband and I have been watching since season 1, but we thought this would be a fun show for her to watch with us. I will give no spoilers, but it's funny, I called my mom, and she's like, have you seen The Masked Singer? And I was like, nope, and please don't ruin anything for me. And she's like, I'm not going to. And then proceeds to give me this massive clue, and I was like, Mom! She's like, what? I didn't tell you anything. And I'm like, oh my God, Mom. And I was like, from here until the end of the season, Mom, you can expect that the day after it airs, we have not watched it. Because if it airs, I think it airs Wednesdays, we're not going to be able to watch it until Thursday night at the earliest. So, yeah, that's fun. Do you guys watch The Masked Singer? I love that show. I find it so entertaining, and I love the costumes. Briar, for this season, she's like super into... At this point, only one episode has aired. She thought the Medusa costume was super cool. Obviously, at 5, she has no idea who Medusa is, but she's like, there's so many snakes. The snakes are so cool, Mommy. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Snakes are cool. Like, you know. But I love that show. And I'm excited to make this like a weekly thing. Bust out some popcorn, you know, just do that. We try to have like family... like movie nights every once in a while. So this is cool to be able to add that into it. And then Saturday, she was starting to feel better. She hadn't vomited and hadn't had a fever in over 24 hours. So we slowly wanted to introduce some like simpler foods. So we actually got like smoothies. I got one for her that was fruit-based and not dairy-based because that's not a smart idea. And she enjoyed that. And we watched The Wizard of Oz, which, listen, if you've never seen The Wizard of Oz, go watch The Wizard of Oz. But watching it again after not having seen it for many, many years, like, I totally forgot that this movie was from 1939. And it's so well done and, like, in a weird way, really holds up. But I have never in my life been asked more questions while watching that movie. Mommy, what's a tornado? How come that house was picked up? Where's that house going? How come that house landed on that person? Where did those legs go? Why is there a scarecrow? How did they get the scarecrow down? Why does the Tin Man sound like that? Mommy, why is she a witch if she's good? Mommy, why is there a bubble? Mommy, where's she going? Mommy, is she coming back? Mommy, is she leaving? Mommy, why is she coming back again? Mommy, is there another witch? Mommy, how come this witch is good? How come that witch is bad? And I was like, oh my God. Like, I love you, but just watch the movie. And don't get me wrong. Like, Briar likes to ask questions in general. But usually in movies, she'll ask you, like, one thing and then move on. No. My husband he was picking something up. I don't remember what he was. Oh, probably getting her lunch. And I let him know. I was like, I've never been asked more questions in my life. And Briar loves the scarecrow now because when Dorothy asks him, like, which way to get to Oz, and he's like, you go this way. And then you go this way. For some reason, that whole thing where the arms cross and, like, he has no idea what he's talking about because he's a scarecrow. Like, it made her laugh. Like, it was the funniest thing she's ever encountered in her life. And I was like, I love you, kid. I love you. I love how much you are loving this. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to actually watch The Wizard of Oz, and she's already asked me if we can watch it again. I'm trying to incorporate some more, like, people movies and not just cartoons. We were talking about, like, Mary Poppins is a good people movie. Because if she had her way, we would watch Rapunzel, Frozen 1 and 2, Encanto, and The Princess and the Frog on constant repeat. And I can't watch the same movie over and over and over again. I know most people who let their kids watch TV, like, a movie will come out and they'll be like, oh, this is the 17th time this week I watch it. I can't do that. Like, it makes my brain, I can't do it. And so I try to also space them out. Like, if we watched Frozen, I don't want to watch Frozen as the next movie. Like, we can watch something else, and then maybe another time we can watch Frozen. But, yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed being able to watch it with her. I wish it was under, different circumstances and not because my kid was homesick, but it is what it is, and I can't change that. But it was nice to see that she was finally starting to feel a little bit better. The next day is Sunday. I can tell you that I know she woke up feeling better because she was on another level. It was just like the rudeness was out. Everything was an argument. Anything I said was wrong. Anything I asked her to do was too much. I would ask her to repeat whatever I said. The answer to everything was, I can't remember, which is code for I wasn't listening and I wasn't paying attention in the first place. And it just turned into like a really long, rough morning. Where did that color go? I already did it. There we go. Anybody else like that? You like put away a color and you're like, damn, there's more. Damn, Gina.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, ShamWow. Not ShamWow. Is it ShamWow guy? I don't remember who did the Billy Ocean, not Billy Ocean. Oh my, Billy Mays here. Rest in peace, Billy Mays. So we ended up at basketball. She was like super big grump magump. Don't know what her deal was, but she was not happy. And then a few minutes into it, my husband like walks, like I could see like the angry look on his face walking her across the thing. And he's like, she has to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, of course she does. Why wouldn't she have to go to the bathroom before the class? It's only a half hour, you know, like it's not like she's there for a really long time. And she just didn't really want to participate. And it's a shame because next week is the last one. And I emailed the coach because I was like, is there another session of this? And she's like, I don't think they're going to do another spring one. The next one would be like in the fall, winter. And I was like, oh, all right. But I kind of expected that. But anyway, she seemed to be in a little bit better mood after going back on the... But it was just, today was just, man, it was a day. And then we went to Trader Joe's, got a boatload of stuff. I had on Instagram a story that said, let me know what your must-haves from Trader Joe's are. So if you have anything and you didn't see that post and you didn't comment on it, let me know down below because there are definitely some things that I'm like, I know we need to try. I know we need to find. And we were lucky enough, there was a couple items that I wanted to try that I didn't see last time or I didn't know about last time. But we've enjoyed this past week, a lot of like their freezer items have been really great. And their salad kit I really enjoyed. And it's nice because while I'm spending more money at the grocery store, like at a time, I'm saving a ton more money from not needing to go get lunch. That was one of the things I said to Brian. I love going out to eat, and don't get me wrong, I would go out to eat every meal if it made sense. But there's so many times that immediately picking up Briar, she goes, let's go get lunch. And we go, let's go get lunch. For a while, it was working because we were going to get lunch and then we would go ice skating, and it was just the perfect amount of time to have lunch in between when school ended and ice skating started. But we haven't taken her to public skate in a while now. It just, not anything intentional. It just hasn't worked out with our schedule. But, it just worked out that way for us. And so now we're saving money because now we're not spending, you know, $20, $30, $40 at lunch plus tip and all of that. We're just busting out something that we're putting in the oven or a little salad kit. So let me know down below, what are your Trader Joe's must-haves? If you made it all the way to the end, I got an elote bag of chips. I do not recommend. It has a weird aftertaste. And then an elote salad kit, which I did like. So leave me some sort of corn emoji if you've made it all the way to the end. But that's it. That's it. That's all I got for you guys for this one. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like to see more content like this or, you know, nothing like this at all, please make sure to give this video 2 thumbs up. One real life, one virtual. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Come. Join the Sparkle Squad. And while you're there, hit that notification bell. Yay. I do not operate on any sort of schedule. I operate on toddler standard time, and I record when my tiny human is sleeping, or like today, sleeping. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys!